Here's what you need to know about life in Florida. This is my 1 year anniversary of moving to the state of Florida with my family, and I'm going to let you know all of the things that I've noticed in the past year and kind of how it's been, and do a little recap. I made a million notes because I'll never remember everything, and so if you see me glancing to the side, I just don't want to miss anything. So the first things first, when you go to a new area, you need 3 things. You need a forgiving pastor, a clever accountant, and a talented tailor. And it's taken me a little while to find all 3 of those, but I have. So that's good news. And really good news is that I know my way around. Yes, of course, I use Waze, but I know what all the different neighborhoods are, and I know where I'm going without Waze, which is really exciting. I also have my favorite little local restaurants. Many of my favorite restaurants are at the Disney resorts and the different Disney parks. It is really great living in a vacation destination, but you have to remember that work still happens, bills still need to be paid. You are not on vacation, even though it does feel like you are because you're surrounded by tourists. But the upside is there are a lot of options for fun when you're not at work. The thing that has probably bothered me the most about living in Orlando is the toll roads. I live right by a toll road, which is really handy for getting where I need to go and avoiding the I-4, which I don't like. But boy, those tolls add up, and I'm a bit of a tightwad, so I don't enjoy that. I would love to see some sort of discount for local residents. And another thing about living in Florida is that you will want to pay to have the windows tinted on your cars. This seems like maybe a luxury item, but it is so hot. If you go, for example, to the Disney parks and you're there for several hours, and your car's in the hot sun in those big parking lots, it is so hot when you get in. So the window tinting is wonderful. Living in Florida, I still think it's funny seeing beer and wine sold in the grocery stores. I know in the Midwest that's a common thing, but that is not a common thing in the mid-Atlantic states such as Maryland. Next up, Disney is a commonly mentioned thing in conversation in Central Florida. People often talk about what annual pass you have. What is your favorite Disney resort? What is your favorite Disney restaurant? And do you enjoy going on the Disney cruises? If not, is there a different cruise line you like? Those are very common conversations that happen every day in Florida. Luckily, I love talking about Disney, so that is just not a problem for me personally. Next up, what I have noticed is that I have started taking these Florida sunny skies for granted. I have become used to the beautiful skies and also the really gorgeous sunsets. So I get a little grumpy if it's 2 days in a row of gray skies or overcast skies or storms, and I have to check myself on that. As far as restaurants, I really felt that Detroit and Baltimore and Washington, D.C. had really good food scenes. And I find that just like those areas, if you want to get the eclectic, locally owned restaurants, you do need to go into the city proper versus the suburbs. I live in Winter Garden. There are some great restaurants, but if I really want something special, I do need to go to Orlando City proper, which is just fine with me. But I found that to be true in all of those places that I've lived. And I was asking the Nextdoor app, I'm sure many of you are familiar with that, if there are people new to Florida and what differences they've noticed. So a lot of neighbors chimed in from all over the Orlando area, and these are some of the things they have noticed about living in Florida. They see many more sports cars and exotic cars on the road, more wildlife in Florida than this one person expected, and she loves that. What she doesn't love is that groceries are twice as expensive. And yes, absolutely, I couldn't agree more with that. People did chime in, though, to warn her to don't shop at Publix. It is too expensive. Publix is a very common chain here in Florida. There's one almost on every corner, it seems, and they're known for their delicious pub sub sandwiches. And those are really good, but I personally don't shop at Publix. I know they're known for their BOGO, buy one, get one free, but even with that, still too expensive, so I shop elsewhere. Also on the Nextdoor app, people have commented that there's a slower pace here and no sense of urgency. I don't know if I would agree with that, living close to the Disney parks. It doesn't seem to me to be a slow pace here. But I just wanted to mention that. That's somebody else's opinion. Another person mentioned lizards. Lots of lizards. Yes, I concur, but they're adorable. They're often about this big, and they're really fast, and they're really cute. And my dog, Stella, loves the lizards. She wants to be friends with them. They don't understand that, and they run away. Next up, less trees due to new home construction and road construction, and I absolutely agree with that. There are large parcels of land here being cleared all the time. Next up, road congestion. With all the new construction going on, the roads are quite busy. So that is definitely something I've noticed too. Another person wrote lots of birds and beautiful sunsets. Yes, I agree with that. One person wrote that Florida has many hiking trails, and I concur with that. There's so many beautiful state parks, and everyone thinks of Florida as just the amusement parks, and while that is absolutely true and it's fun, there are many beautiful hiking trails. One person wrote that she misses the food in New York. She misses the bagels, the pizza, and the hot dogs, and that person is right on. And the Nextdoor app people also mentioned that people do not signal when they drive, they just change lanes. And I absolutely agree with that. My thoughts, this is now not the Nextdoor app, these are my thoughts, and I'm going to go through them a little bit quicker. Everything is expensive here. The good old days of Florida being a less expensive place to live and possibly retire someday is outdated. Everything costs more money here. Food, gas, home insurance, car insurance, and also I already mentioned those tolls, and they do add up. When it rains here, the drivers here are insane. So just try not to drive during the hurricane season, that 2 to 3 p.m. window. In my area, Winter Garden, there is not a good Chinese takeout restaurant that I'm aware of. There are a few, and I read the reviews, and I don't know, the reviews were scathing, so I actually was afraid to go in and try. I have to admit, I did not try them. Very few Hallmark stores. I'm used to Hallmark stores all over the place. So I don't know where people in Florida buy cards, or maybe they don't, or maybe they buy them at Target. I'm not sure. There's a lot of cultural diversity in Orlando, which is amazing. There are people from all over the world that live here, so that's something special about Orlando. The hurricane season is about 5 months long, and it's really throughout the whole summer. And what's amazing about that is the volume of rain in such a short period of time, and then how quickly the ground soaks it all up, and you would never know it had rained. So that's really interesting. Just hitting on driving again, there's no left lane rule. People seem to pass on the right-hand side, the left-hand side, it doesn't matter. Things do close early in the suburbs versus Orlando proper. People don't always stop at stop signs. It seems somewhat optional. You don't see alligators and snakes everywhere. That was something that I had read about. You will see alligators, especially there's so many little lakes and ponds in Winter Garden that you will see alligators sunning themselves at the side of the lake. So that's always a bit unnerving, at least to me. There are no sirens for tornado warnings. We do get tornadoes here, not like you do in the Midwest, but there's just no sirens. The lightning here is intense. It's scary, and U-turns are allowed almost everywhere. And Florida is a huge dairy state, which I didn't know that. There are 200 billion pounds of raw milk produced annually in Florida. And if you go away from the theme parks for just a few minutes, you will see cattle all over. So that's interesting. Citrus in the main chain stores here does not come from Florida. If you look at the sticker on your oranges, it will say California, which is not what I expected. I will say that Florida, in particular the Orlando area, is definitely crowded. I had heard that ahead of time, and that is accurate. I thought perhaps people were just overreacting, but it's true, it is crowded. But I will tell you that they are still building homes all over the Orlando area. So there is still, if you're interested in new construction, a home that's just being built right now waiting for you. Speed limits don't exist, particularly on the I-4. Humidity isn't as bad as they said, or as I had heard. So that was good news. The bugs are worse than they said. Kayaking is amazing and probably the most affordable hobby in the state of Florida. So if you move to Florida, you might want to consider going on Facebook Marketplace and buying a used kayak. There are no car safety or emissions inspections yearly, which means cars are on the road literally falling apart, no brake lights, no exhaust, bursting into flames on the side of the road. A little bit of anything goes there. Speed bumps are called speed humps. And the allowance of left turns on a major highway with no stop signs or no lights has been something I needed to get used to. Overall, it's been an amazing year. Looking forward to the next year. But I wanted you to hear all my thoughts about what's different or unique about living in Florida and what I've noticed after 1 year. Thanks for watching.